Okay, we are diving straight into a major developing story today. We're talking about the rapidly escalating tensions between the United States and Iran. The White House has just confirmed that military action, and that includes airstrikes, is now officially on the table. And right off the bat, that's the official word from the White House press secretary. It sets a really dangerous tone, doesn't it? The message being sent to Tehran is anything but subtle. Every single option, including military force, is being actively considered. And let's be really clear here. This is not speculation. This isn't just a rumor. It is an official confirmation coming straight out of Washington. Right as these deadly anti-government protests are sweeping across Iran, the U.S. is signaling that it's prepared to respond with force. And here you have the president's own words, which confirms this is being discussed at the absolute highest level. You know, when you hear a phrase like very strong options, in the world of diplomacy, that's language for something that could be very, very serious. So you have to be asking, why is the U.S. considering this right now? Well, to really understand that, we have to look at what's happening on the ground inside Iran. There is this massive wave of internal unrest, and that is what's fueling this whole international crisis. So what's the spark that lit this whole fire? Let's break it down. What exactly has pushed the Iranian people to this point, and why does the U.S. feel like it has to act now? While it really starts with the sheer scale of it, we're not talking about a small protest. We are talking about millions of Iranians who have taken to the streets. This is one of the largest protest movements the country has seen in a very, very long time. But this movement has come at a truly tragic cost. As these demonstrations have gotten more intense, reports are indicating that hundreds of people have been killed, with, many, many more injured in the clashes. And the government's response has been incredibly severe. What started out in Tehran's Grand Bazaar has now exploded, spreading to all 31 provinces. As these protesters are demanding political change, they've been met with live ammunition, mass arrests, and even a total internet blackout, basically designed to stop the flow of any information. Now, it is so important to understand that this huge political uprising, it really has its roots in economic desperation. We're talking about worsening hardship, crippling inflation, and a national currency, the rial, that's just collapsing. Those were the sparks that ignited this nationwide fire. But, this didn't just happen in a vacuum. To really see how we arrived at this incredibly dangerous flashpoint, we need to take a quick look back at a timeline of recent events. You can pretty much draw a direct line from what happened last year to the crisis we're seeing today. So it began back in June with those U.S.-led airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Then, by late December, the economic protests erupted. And that brings us to right now, with the U.S. explicitly linking these new military threats to how Iran handles its own internal unrest. This slide really shows you the fundamental conflict that set the stage for everything we're seeing today. The U.S. said the strikes were meant to slow down Iran's nuclear program, but Iran called them a violation of international law and defiantly promised to continue its work. That core disagreement, it was never resolved. And all of that brings us right back to today's incredibly volatile standoff. So, the critical question on everyone's mind is, what happens next? And the White House is doubling down. This quote isn't just rhetoric. It's a direct warning meant to remind Tehran of past U.S. military action to make this current threat feel all the more real. So when you boil it all down, it's this kind of dual-track strategy. On one hand, the White House is publicly saying diplomacy is their first option. But at the same time, they've drawn a very clear red line. If the Iranian government targets peaceful protesters, that could be the trigger for American intervention. And so that's where we're left. A situation that is just balanced on a knife's edge. You have a nation inside in total turmoil, with millions demanding change. And outside, you have a global superpower weighing military action. The next move from either side could absolutely reshape the entire Middle East.